Oh, hello, my name's Jazza, and I'm actually physically here in Taiwan, and I've come outside to stand in front of a pretty old building in order to really drive home the fact that I'm physically here. Very, very exciting. Hello, hello, my fans, they're everywhere. Taiwan has gained a pretty good reputation when it comes to LGBT rights. They're relatively progressive in legislation, have one of the largest LGBT pride festivals in the whole of Asia, and also have some of the sexiest of the menses. Taiwan also looked like it was going to be the first place in the whole of Asia to have same-sex marriage and to legally recognise it. It was really exciting. Last year, one of the courts decided that within 2 years there had to be some kind of legislation recognising same-sex couples legally so that they would have the same rights as married straight couples. All we needed was the rubber stamping of actual legislation, and it looked like my quest for a Taiwanese husband was going to go really, really well. Unfortunately, the new Taiwanese president ended up dragging her feet on the issue. This is because the base of her party, the DPP, tend to be older, working class, more socially conservative. If you think about kind of like the equivalent of the Rust Belt in the USA or the Industrial North in the UK, she dilly-daddled for like a year and a half. Unfortunately, some anti-LGBT people saw it as an opportunity. This is when a conservative group who have ended up calling themselves the 下一代幸福联盟, which is the Coalition for the Happiness of Our Next Generation, they saw an opportunity, and for goodness sake, their name may as well be When Somebody Think of the Children. In Taiwan, Christians only make up about 4% of the population, but they were very much at the forefront of this attempt to counteract the ruling by the court that said that same-sex couples should have some kind of legal recognition. They therefore had to work together with a load of more traditional and conservative groups across Taiwanese culture. Oh, and they also hired this guy, Brian Brown. You may have noticed him before. He is one of the co-founders of the National Organization of Marriage, open brackets, between a man and a woman and nobody else, close brackets. He was behind the Proposition 8 campaign in 2008 that overturned equal marriage in that state before the Supreme Court in the US then overturned that decision. Lots of overturning. The inclusion of somebody like Brian Brown is very much the latest manifestation of the phenomenon of American homophobes exporting their expertise in hate-mongering since same-sex marriage became legal in the USA. It's so nice that they're continuing to spread the hate. This coalition of parents who are scared that their son might be gay because he doesn't do sports decided to exploit a new law which allows referendums to be put to a public vote if they are able to get signatures on a petition that equals 1.5% of the population. By using this law, they managed to get 3 questions on the ballot that was then going to be put to a national vote. Because why have one homophobic question when you can have 3? I'm now going to take you somewhere else with a slightly different backdrop because, I mean, why not? I'm a proper video journalist now. I tried to do some filming in front of the presidential palace, but the lighting was bad and the police were looking at me funny. So here we are in a pagoda. Because what could be more Taiwanese, eh? The anti-gay marriage group ended up being able to get enough signatures for 3 questions to end up being put to the public in a referendum. They included, first of all, whether or not marriage should be redefined as just between a man and a woman, because we know that's always been the case. 1, restricting the LGBTQ+ education in middle school, and 3rd, making sure that any future recognition of same-sex couples wouldn't change previous definitions of marriage. Because, you know, when gays start getting included in definitions of actual, like, real marriage, we get glitter everywhere, and it is a nightmare to get out, I'll give you that. This took the pro-gay marriage groups and coalitions like completely off guard, and frankly it took them a really long time to be able to come up with an appropriate response. Their response to the original court ruling, yes, it is getting complicated, ended up being 2 more questions being put on the ballot paper. One of them asking whether or not marriage should be now recognised for same-sex couples, and the other one defending LGBTQ+ education in schools. This is a mess, And it sounds like a mess. It's a mess. The campaign was equally chaotic. As I said, Christians only make up 4% of the population here, so they couldn't just rely on invoking Leviticus. Such a shame when that happens, isn't it? So they started to appeal to traditional Confucian values that have very strict familial hierarchies with man, woman, son, daughter, etc., etc. It's very strict, and it's what quite a lot of East Asian culture is based on, and that's like how the homophobes get you here. Rather than going the Christian route, this appeal to like the Confucian ideals is what ends up restricting LGBT rights in general. Despite hope, especially in urban areas, and especially with areas with lots of students, and especially in this city here where I am at the moment in Taipei, the gay marriage questions lost badly. Along with the LGBT education questions. The anti-equal marriage coalition saw an opportunity, pounced, and they won. It wasn't hugely clear what this meant for equal marriage in Taiwan. We have these two really important decisions made. One by the court, who said that there has to be some kind of recognition of same-sex couples, and one by plebiscite, by referenda, that have ended up deciding that the people don't actually want gay marriage. It's not clear which takes precedent, which is the most important. And so I sat down with a journalist here, William Yang, who has also kind of been in and around the campaign for equal marriage here in Taiwan, and he kind of explained what the fallout is going to be. When you see me on my own again, I'm also going to be in a different place, so that's an exciting thing to hold out for. What happens now? Because we have, it ended up being like 3 referendums on marriage equality specifically, and all of them went kind of like the anti-LGBT way. But then you still have this court ruling from last year that says that Taiwan is going to have to, within, by next year, is going to have a recognition of same-sex couples. What's going to happen with the courts saying one thing and the referendum saying another?
So the court ruling specifically only say that the current civil code denying gay couples the rights to get married is unconstitutional, and they urge the government to, within 2 years, to find a way to somehow implement this rights to get married or form partnership into the law by May 24th, 2019. So that's exactly 6 months away from now. The most likely outcome from here on is the legislature will definitely have to start negotiating and debating about this among all the political parties that have seats inside the legislature. And because of the legal, the outcome of the legally binding referendums, it's likely that the ruling party is going to push and move forward towards the limited civil union rather than a full marriage equality, because now they are not, they can't afford to play provocative or bold, but they can only afford to play safe.
How does this make you feel? So I never had to go through a popular vote in the UK. It was all kind of legal. But what is it like to kind of have your rights rejected by your people? I don't want to put it in a very dramatic, dramatic way, but that's what it would feel like to me.
Yeah. It just, one thing is, it makes you wonder if that day could ever happen, as long as you live here or you have your life here, or is it more realistic for you to start seeking options outside of Taiwan, moving to countries that have that sort of rights that are guaranteed, and it's a normal thing, and the society is not really against it. One of the strongest feelings that I have last night was definitely you know, like, are we being welcomed or accepted into by the society, or like are we still continuing to like live on the edge of it? And we were living in this little small bubble of Taipei where, yes, we see a lot of acceptance, or if not acceptance, but people's tolerance towards LGBTQ movements or activities, or like LGBTQ people. But once you go outside of Taipei, I wonder, that really makes me wonder if that's pretty much still the same, or like once you go outside of Taipei, like that's just not something that you you should just definitely be more aware of your behavior and like your words and like what you say or what you do. So yeah.
That point that William made about looking for opportunities to go overseas because he didn't feel accepted here anymore really hits home, and he's not the only person that was feeling like that. If you look at Google Trends, searches for immigration in Taiwan rocket on the night of the vote when the votes were coming in. There's no getting around it. That's really sad. At the end of the day, it doesn't look like this is the end of the world. The legislature looks like it wants to find a balance between the will of the people and this court ruling from last year. And so it looks like they'll stop short at marriage, but there will at least be some kind of recognition for same-sex couples on the island, finally. But I came here to, in case you can't notice, this is a gay district in Taipei called Honglou. And I came here to kind of like get a bit of the vibe. And outside of the metro station, there are a load of young, I would assume, like activists standing proudly and honourably and with dignity, just offering free hugs, which is a cliche from like the early internet years, right? Oh, but it broke my heart. To be rejected by your home, and to then come out and to stand there and still be like proud to exist and stuff. I love this place. I used to study here. I used to live here. I love Taiwan so very much, and this vote really broke my heart because this is also a community that I feel part of. But this is gonna be okay. It's not what we wanted and what we needed, but this will be okay. Oh God, it hurts though. I know how to close this video. Go and follow William, who's been really good value to follow on Twitter at the moment. He's given some great insights not only into the marriage vote but also to the local elections in Taiwan. And if you enjoy this kind of content, then subscribe. Here's the orb. And then also like maybe watch my last documentary, which is also a laugh riot. I need to stop doing serious things and making myself cry. I've been Rhyming with Oranges. Thank you very much for watching. Toodaloo.